Here is section 1 of the story based on the title. Aliens laughed at Earth's weapons until we turn a moon into a bomb. Word count /710 words. Hashtag section 1. Galactic disrespect. Humanity's reputation as a joke. The galaxy was vast. Beyond the stars, beyond what ancient humans had once dreamed, the universe teemed with life. Hundreds of civilizations, some ancient beyond comprehension, had formed what they called a Galactic Union, a confederation of advanced species brought together by shared technology, diplomacy, and above all, superiority. When Earth was discovered, it wasn't greeted with fear or awe. It was greeted with laughter. To the galaxy, humans were a joke. The first contact had been promising, even exciting. Earth had finally developed faster-than-light communication and modest interstellar travel by the year 2136. When the Galactic Union extended its invitation, humanity arrived at the diplomatic summit with dreams of cooperation, peace, and mutual growth. What they received instead was condescension, veiled mockery, and dismissive smiles, if the species present even had mouths to smile with. Human technology was seen as primitive. Their fusion reactors were laughably unstable. Their ships used projectile-based weapons, bullet throwers, as some called them, as if they were still hunting woolly mammoths. Energy shields? Pathetic. Warp drives? Obsolete. Earth's great militaries, with their aircraft carriers and orbital railguns, were compared to slingshots and spears. In galactic media, Earth became a running gag. Comedic holovids were produced where human soldiers tripped over their own grenades or tried to fight energy beings with flamethrowers. One of the most viral episodes was called Planet of Fireworks, mocking Earth's reliance on explosions over elegant energy pulses. Among the worst offenders were the Jatil, a reptilian, honor-bound warrior species who prided themselves on their advanced martial culture. To them, humans weren't just backward, they were insultingly backward. Send in the Terrans, one Jatil general famously quipped during a debate over piracy control. Let them light their fireworks. Maybe the noise will scare the raiders off. The quote made it onto mugs, t-shirts, and memes across the Union. But not everyone on Earth was laughing. Behind closed doors, deep within Earth's Joint Defense Coalition, JDC, top military and scientific minds were beginning to see the writing on the wall. The galaxy didn't just disrespect humanity, it saw them as vulnerable. That kind of perception invited exploitation, invasion, or worse. "We're the clown at the feast," said General Elaine Korloff, head of the JDC. "They'll keep laughing until one day they decide to shut us up permanently." Earth's diplomats tried everything. Technological partnerships, military exchanges, demonstrations of human ingenuity. But none of it mattered. The gap was too wide and the stigma too deep. In one disastrous incident, Earth invited galactic observers to witness a test of their new kinetic orbital weapon, a hypersonic tungsten rod platform, colloquially known as rods from God. The demonstration vaporized the test site in under 5 seconds, kicking up enough dust to darken Earth's skies. But instead of respect, the aliens laughed. "Oh, look," one alien news anchor joked. "They've invented gravity." Still, Earth didn't retaliate. Instead, it planned. Quietly. A decade passed. While the aliens laughed, Earth mined. While they joked, Earth built. And while the Galactic Union scoffed, Earth selected a moon, a tiny, icy rock orbiting Saturn, long thought insignificant. Its name was Mimas, but to those working in the shadows of its cold, cratered shell, it was code-named Project Acheron. On the surface, Mimas remained lifeless, but within its hollowed core, Earth constructed something the galaxy had never seen. A superweapon not bound by outdated doctrines of energy shields or antimatter. Something raw, brutal, and human. A fusion-fueled gravimetric imploder capable of ripping space-time like paper. The moon would become the warhead. It wasn't about winning a war. It wasn't even about survival. It was about making them stop laughing. Still, no one outside the inner circle of Earth's defense knew. Not the diplomats. Not even Earth's own civilian governments. Project Acheron was a myth, whispered about in the black corridors of intelligence agencies and late-night war rooms. As Earth continued to be the butt of galactic jokes, the weapon grew closer to readiness. But what the JDC didn't expect, what no one expected, was that Earth wouldn't get to choose the day the galaxy pushed too far. That day was coming. The Jatil would make sure of it. And when they did, they would find out too late that humans don't throw spears anymore. They throw moons. Let me know when you're ready for Section 2, 700-plus words, where the galaxy forces Earth's hand and the countdown to catastrophe begins. Here is Section 2 of the story. Aliens laughed at Earth's weapons until we turn a moon into a bomb. Word count \720 words. Hashtag Section 2, the breaking point, when laughter turns a threat. The Jatil didn't just mock, they tested. Every few years, they push a little harder, probing Earth's territorial borders, disrupting trade routes, even abducting small mining vessels for inspection. The Galactic Union turned a blind eye. In their view, humans were too unsophisticated to be worth protecting. If the Jatil wanted to bully them, well, such was galactic politics. Then came the demand. A formal communique, backed by an armada of warships, was delivered directly to Earth's planetary council. The message was clear. The Jatil claimed exclusive resource rights to Earth's oceans, citing a void clause in ancient interstellar mineral law. The wording was vague, intentionally so, but the threat beneath it was sharp and unmistakable. Comply, or prepare for subjugation. To the Jatil, it wasn't even a declaration of war. It was business. They had done this to smaller civilizations for centuries. Most complied without resistance. The Galactic Union again remained silent. Behind closed doors, they whispered, "Asterisk, let the Terrans learn their place. Perhaps a light beating will teach them humility." Asterisk. Earth, however, refused. The Joint Defense Coalition's response was unanimous. "We will not surrender our world, our oceans, or our people. President Imani Reyes declared from Geneva, if war is forced upon us, we will fight, not with pride, but with resolve." The Jatil laughed. Public broadcasts from their empire featured warriors in human costumes, flailing with foam swords, while mighty Jatil actors crushed toy ships underfoot. "Prepare your boomsticks," one general mocked. "Perhaps the noise will amuse us as we take your seas." Within hours, the Jatil fleet began massing at the edge of the solar system. Earth went into high alert. Cities prepared evacuation drills. Underground shelters were stocked. Civilians panicked. Social media filled with despair. How do you fight a species that travels by folding space? One desperate post read, "We're fighting dragons with kitchen knives." But deep within the command centers beneath Antarctica, the mood was calm. General Korolev stared at a blinking red dot on the tactical display. "Are we ready?" she asked. Colonel Sato, the chief architect of the secret project, nodded. "Project Acheron is operational. Remote ignition systems are tested. The moon is primed." The moon, Mimas, once just another frozen satellite orbiting Saturn, it now held humanity's final answer. A decade of secret construction. Billions of metric tons of specialized fusion fuel, graviton core injectors, resonance amplifiers. And at its center, a custom-forged singularity seed. Unstable, fragile, but devastating once triggered. The weapon had no precedent, no safeguards, no treaties acknowledged it, because no one had imagined a species would turn an entire moon into a bomb. Yet Earth had done just that. Still, many within the JDC hesitated. "It's not just about the Jatil," warned Dr. Lien Becky, one of the chief physicists. "If we detonate it, we rewrite the rules of galactic warfare. We'll prove every nightmare they've whispered about us, that humans are too chaotic, too dangerous." General Korolev didn't flinch. "We gave them peace. They answered with mockery and threats. We gave them warnings. They answered with warships." Her voice hardened. "Now they will answer for their arrogance." The countdown began. Jatil forces passed Mars. A vanguard of 30 warships, each larger than Earth's largest cities, approached orbit. They deployed drones, disruptor satellites, and long-range beam cannons. Earth's orbitals opened fire in a token gesture. Railguns firing tungsten slugs, high-energy lasers slicing into the void. A single Jatil ship was damaged. They laughed again. A live broadcast captured the moment. A Jatil commander leaned toward the camera, sneering. This is your defense? Rocks and flashlights? Show us something real. Earth responded with silence. Not fear, just a countdown. T-minus 10 hours. Mimas, distant and quiet, began to shimmer with barely perceptible energy. Plasma conduits activated. Interior reactors reached critical threshold. The singularity seed pulsed, waiting for ignition. The public didn't know. Even Earth's allies didn't know. But the galaxy would know soon. That night, across Earth, people looked toward the stars, some with hope, some with dread. Parents held their children. Veterans stood by their radios, listening for news. Astronomers watched Saturn with trembling hands. And in orbit around Jupiter, on a cloaked command vessel, General Korolev stared through the viewport, speaking into a private line. To every species that thought us weak, we say this. Your laughter ends tonight. The time for jokes had passed. The time for terror had arrived. Let me know when you're ready for Section 3, minimum 700 words. Where the moon bomb is unleashed and the galaxy watches in horror, here is Section 3 of the story. Aliens laugh at Earth's weapons until we turn a moon into a bomb. Word count / 730 words. Hashtag Section 3. Mimas ignites. Turning a moon into a message. The Jatil didn't believe the warning. When Earth's final transmission reached them, cold, emotionless, just 2 words. Last chance. They laughed harder than ever. Aboard the Vraxtal, the Jatil command ship, Admiral Zerk bared his fangs in amusement. Still pretending? He said, his voice echoing through the command deck. Launch the orbital seekers. Burn the Terran sky. Let them know what real weapons look like. Across Mars orbit, the Jatil fleet expanded into a siege formation. Over 70 vessels, including 5 Decimator-class dreadnoughts, deployed into Earth's approach corridor. They would not fire immediately. They wanted to intimidate, to demonstrate that even Earth's resistance would be crushed under the Jatil heel like an insect. But then something strange happened. The light around Mimas changed. Thousands of kilometers away, hidden sensors recorded a sharp spike in gravity. Amateur stargazers on Titan noticed that Saturn's rings trembled slightly, wobbling in patterns never seen before. But it wasn't Saturn, it was a tiny moon beside it. Mimas began to glow, not from external light, but from within. Cracks formed across its icy crust, radiating a pale blue light. From its poles, jets of exotic plasma burst into the void like auroras from hell. The Jatil didn't understand. They had dismissed Mimas as a frozen pebble with no atmosphere and no value. By the time they realized something was wrong, it was too late. Earth's final message broadcast across every open channel in the system. To those who mocked us, to those who threatened our world, to those who thought we would break, we do not come in peace. We come with gravity. And then Mimas detonated. Not like a bomb, like a collapse. The moon didn't explode outward. It imploded, folding into itself in a spiraling cascade of fusion and gravimetric resonance. In one horrifying instant, its core vanished into a singularity, dragging the rest of the moon behind it. The energy release was catastrophic. Space rippled violently. A graviton shock wave burst from Mimas' position, invisible but unstoppable. Unlike a traditional explosion, this wave didn't emit heat or light. It bent space, twisted time, and broke the very laws of mass and inertia. The first Jatil ship struck by the wave didn't explode. They crumpled, hulls twisted into themselves. Shield generators collapsed into molten metal. Warp cores unraveled. Spewing particles no one had names for. Those farther out fared no better. Time dilated in a flash. Some ships experienced seconds stretched into hours, while others were frozen in an instant before shattering like glass. The Vraxtal tried to retreat. Admiral Zerk's final transmission was one of confusion, not fear. What are they doing? What is this? His image disintegrated mid-sentence. The entire forward fleet, 47 ships, ceased to exist in under 8 seconds. Only silence remained. The shock wave eventually dissipated as it reached the edges of Jupiter's orbit. Earth's own ships, stationed well beyond the blast radius, observed everything. The system satellites recorded the detonation, the destruction, the sudden black void where Mimas had been. And then, slowly, across the galaxy, every civilization began to watch. Footage spread like wildfire. The implosion of a moon, the annihilation of a fleet, and the terrible realization that the primitive apes of Sol 3 had committed the unthinkable. Not just used the WMD, not just destroyed enemy ships, but weaponized the moon. On the diplomatic channels, messages poured in. Is this a war crime? What kind of species does this? Is Earth mad? The Galactic Union Council entered emergency session. Emergency protocols were activated that hadn't been touched in millennia. No species had ever unleashed a gravimetric implosion device before. The technology was considered theoretical, unstable, suicidal. And yet Earth had done it, and survived. For the Jatil, the devastation was unprecedented. It wasn't just a military defeat. It was cultural humiliation. Their most powerful fleet, obliterated by what they had considered an unevolved species. Their bravado turned to ash. Within hours, the Jatil sent a ceasefire request. 3 words: we acknowledge sovereignty. Back on Earth, news channels erupted in shock and celebration. Millions gathered in streets. The words Mimas bomb trended across all feeds. Some praised the scientists who made it possible. Others mourned what it meant, that Earth had joined the galaxy not as equals, but as monsters. In Geneva, President Reyes addressed the world. We did not seek war. We sought respect. Now they listen. May we never have to speak this way again. Meanwhile, in deep space, a new beacon was deployed to the location where Mimas had once orbited. It carried no flag, no message, just a rotating metal monument etched with one phrase in over 500 languages. Never mistake silence for weakness. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4, minimum 700 words, the final aftermath, how the galaxy changes, and how Earth reclaims its place among the stars. Here is Section 4 of the story. Aliens laughed at Earth's weapons until we turned the moon into a bomb. Word count \730 words. Hashtag Section 4. The new respect. Humanity's place after the moon bomb. The moon was gone. Mimas, once a frozen and forgotten rock orbiting Saturn, had vanished, obliterated in a single act of human defiance that sent shockwaves through more than just the solar system. Its absence became a cosmic scar, a reminder etched into every star map and database from the Andari cluster to the halls of the Galactic Union. The galaxy had changed, and Earth, long dismissed as primitive and laughable, was no longer a punchline. Hashtag Earth reacts. Fear, celebration, and reflection. On Earth, reactions to the Mimas event range from triumphant pride to uneasy silence. In cities from New York to Nairobi, fireworks filled the sky, and people poured into the streets in a spontaneous celebration. A global holiday was declared, Sol Sovereignty Day. Yet, for every voice cheering the demonstration of strength, another spoke of restraint, regret, and the cost of such power. Memorials went up for the 28 personnel who had died during the final activation sequence on Mimas. Heroes, remembered not for wielding power, but for ensuring it never had to be used again. In classrooms, students asked, was it right? In universities, ethicists argued over the implications. News anchors interviewed surviving engineers with hushed reverence, treating them like both saviors and cautionary tales. Earth scientists were especially troubled. Dr. Mbeki, one of the key minds behind the gravimetric core, resigned shortly after the detonation. In her public statement, she wrote, "We proved we could break the galaxy's spine. Now we must prove we deserve to walk among its stars." Hashtag the Galactic Union's response. The Galactic Union could no longer ignore Earth. Emergency protocols were enacted to regulate gravimetric weaponry, planetary-scale armament, and any attempts to replicate what Earth had done. A new treaty, the Mimas Accord ***, was signed by over 190 species. It banned lunar or planetary-scale weapons, mass graviton manipulation, and singularity-based armaments. But here was the catch. Earth was offered a permanent seat at the Treaty Council. The very species once ridiculed now held the galaxy's attention. They were no longer the primitive upstarts of Sol 3. They were a strategic power, one whose actions dictated interstellar policy. At Earth's first appearance at the Union Assembly after the Mimas event, all 1,347 representatives stood when President Reyes entered. Some bowed, some didn't, but no one laughed. The Jatil ambassador, tail curled in submission, offered formal reparations and a peace accord. "Your species has earned our caution," he said, "and perhaps our respect. Hashtag new alliances, new enemies." Earth's sudden rise sent ripples through galactic politics. Some species sought friendship and alliance, eager to benefit from Earth's terrifying ingenuity. Trade embassies sprang up overnight. Humans, once mocked, became the most sought-after engineers, weapon designers, and even tacticians in the galaxy. But not all were pleased. Some whispered that Earth had set a dangerous precedent, that this was not evolution, but escalation. A few fringe worlds condemned Earth as warmongers, monsters in monkey skin. One radical collective, the Tso Enclave, went as far as declaring humans a Class 0 extinction-level threat. Their message, asterisk, if they can destroy a moon today, they'll shatter planets tomorrow. Asterisk, Earth's response was simple and diplomatic. We would rather build bridges in craters, but we are capable of either. Hashtag the legacy of Mimas. Months later, a monument was launched into the void, into the place where Mimas once orbited. It was crafted from fragments of the moon's outer shell, salvaged by recovery drones. It spun silently in space, broadcasting a simple transmission in every known language every 12 minutes. Mimas fell so we would rise. Let this be the last time. Pilgrims from across the galaxy began visiting. Some came in awe, others in fear, but all came in silence. Children in alien schools began learning about humanity not as a side note in galactic history, but as a case study in unpredictability. As one Zentari historian put it, the humans are the species who laughed last and made the galaxy weep. Hashtag Earth's new doctrine. In the wake of the Mimas event, Earth adopted a new interstellar policy. Speak softly, but never be unheard. The Joint Defense Coalition was restructured. Project Acheron was decommissioned, but its lessons remained. Humanity turned its focus to diplomacy, exploration, and peaceful advancement, while still maintaining enough force to ensure no one ever tried to test their resolve again. Rumors continued to swirl about other moons being evaluated, about deeper technologies in development. Earth neither confirmed nor denied them, as President Reyes put it in her final address before stepping down. Let them guess. Let them wonder. That is our shield now. Hashtag final words. From a joke to a warning. From a footnote in interstellar history to a defining chapter. Earth did not seek to become feared. But in a galaxy where laughter once came at their expense, they made sure no one would ever mock them again. Because when the galaxy laughed at Earth's weapons, Earth didn't shout back. It simply turned the moon into a message. And the stars are still listening. Let me know if you like the full compiled version in one piece, 2,800 plus words, or need a cover image, title banner, or video script version for this story.